the Indiana Fever beat the Dallas Wings 102-83. This was a highly anticipated game because it was going to be the first time that Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers would be going up against one another in the WNBA.
For the past 5 years, basketball fans have been treated to one of the greatest rivalries in the modern era, Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. Two high school sensations who took different routes to stardom. Clark chose Iowa, Bueckers headed to UConn College. Clark held the edge, especially under bright lights of the NCAA tournament. But not everyone was convinced a game would translate to the WNBA. Even critics like Gino Auriemma had their doubts. Last night, those doubts were silenced. The two superstars finally faced off as pros when Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever hosted Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings. But what happened wasn't just a game. It was a moment of basketball history, and Clark was at the center of it again. Not once, but for the second time in her young career, she did something no other player has ever done. If you're hyped to hear what record was shattered, drop a CC record breaker in the comments. Let's Dive IN.IT all started back in high school. Two teenage prodigies lighting up court across the country, destined to meet time and again. Clark brought raw firepower, deep threes, flash of dimes, and fearless drives. Bueckers, all finesse, smooth mid-range game, elite vision, and a calm confidence that made her the perfect counter to Clark's chaos. This rivalry isn't just personal. It's generational. And last night, it reached a whole new level. Their college journeys couldn't have been more different. Paige Bueckers chose the legendary UConn program, led by Hall of Fame coach Gino Auriemma, a school with a championship pedigree and a dynasty to match. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, picked Iowa, a program with heart, hunger, and something to prove on the national stage. That decision set the stage for some of the most unforgettable battles in NCAA tournament history, matchups that would come to define both players' legacies. When the lights were brightest, Clark delivered. Her Iowa squad ended Ucken's title hopes, and she did it in spectacular fashion, dropping a 41-point masterpiece that sent the Huskies packing. In 3 college matchups, Clark won 2, and she outshined Bueckers when it mattered most. Suddenly, this wasn't just about two players. Fans and analysts began to draw battle lines, Team Clark versus Team Bueckers. What started as a collegiate rivalry quickly became something bigger, a basketball myth in the making, one that's still being written today.
Hey, Caitlin. You've known Paige since middle school, AAU. You guys were on the U19 World Cup team together. Is there anything that maybe stood out then about her, whether it be on or off the court, that maybe still reigns true today?
I mean, I feel like she's played in the same manner that she, has since she was, whether we were on the U16 team together, U19 team together, whether it was me watching her in AAU, she's always just been smooth. She takes what the game gives her. Her midi has always been as nice as it's been this year. She just plays way older than she is. She's confident, she's smooth, she just does everything at a high level, can score from all 3 levels. And that's how she's always played. And that's obviously translated really.
Gino Auriemma didn't hold back when it came to Caitlin Clark. He questioned her shot selection, expressing doubts about whether her high-risk, high-reward style would hold up in the WNBA. In contrast, he championed his own star, Paige Bueckers, pointing to her polished fundamentals and steady efficiency as the traits more likely to succeed at the pro level that in many ways. Clark and Bueckers represented two opposing visions of basketball greatness. Clark, the fearless scorer with unlimited range and flair. Bueckers, the composed technician with textbook form and elite decision-making. Their contrasting styles weren't just preferences. They sparked a debate about what true excellence in the modern game really looks like.
A lot of people are saying, everything is she was Caitlin before Caitlin, she's better than Caitlin and all this stuff. That kind of stopped in the media. Caitlin Clark put up better numbers in the WNBA than Paige did in college.
When both Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers declared for the WNBA, fans immediately circled one question. When will they face off as pros? Clark entered the league with a 2-1 edge in their college rivalry, but the transition to the pro game brought new challenges and new doubts. Her growing pains with the Indiana Fever only intensified the spotlight on this first professional showdown. The anticipation was off the charts. ABC picked up the game for a national broadcast, knowing this wasn't just another regular season matchup. It was must-see TV, with Clark's reputation on the line and Bueckers stepping into her own WNBA moment. The stakes couldn't have been higher.
And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. You know, Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement.
Clark's Indiana Fever were reeling heading into this highly anticipated showdown. Just days before, they had suffered back-to-back embarrassing losses, falling to the LA Sparks and the Golden State Valkyries, teams they were expected to beat with ease. These weren't title contenders. These were winnable games that slipped away, leaving fans frustrated and critics louder than ever. The Fever weren't just losing. They were underperforming at the worst possible time.
Talking to our player development coach yesterday, and he was like, just sent me a few things of like even Steph going through a slump. I think he was like 27 for his last 70 or something like that. Like the best in the world go through it, and I think that's like where you can find your confidence. And I think the thing I always fall back on is like, I know how hard I've worked, so you know this isn't something that's going to last, and the best players in the world go through this. So I feel like I'm getting good shots, and I think that's why it's frustrating, because those are the shots that I make.
Behind the scenes, a quiet war of basketball philosophies was starting to boil over in Indiana. Caitlin Clark thrived in a fast-paced, up-tempo system. She wanted to push the ball, exploit transition opportunities, and keep defenses scrambling. But head coach Stephanie White favored a more methodical, half-court approach. Slower, more structured, more control. That fundamental clash created real friction within the Fever organization. Clark's explosive style was being reined in by a system that didn't fit her instincts. Then came the breaking point. During a heated game against the Atlanta Dream, tensions finally spilled onto the court. Cameras captured a fiery sideline exchange between Clark and White. Every word, every gesture, every ounce of frustration. It was more than just a disagreement. It was a public glimpse into a deep and growing divide.
I feel like this stretch, you know, this is a big game for us. I think we've struggled in the fact that we're able to play one good game, and then we play a bad game, then we play a good game, then we play a bad game. So I think for us is like, we got to find a way to be able to stack really good games together. And then we go on the road, and you know, we're on a back-to-back, which is just a challenge in itself. No matter who you're playing, we play Connecticut, then we play New York. So I think Steph's message was, you know, yes, All-Stars coming up, that break's coming up, but our focus is on these 3 games that we have left. So in that sense, I do think it's critical that our focus just remains on the game in front of us, and I feel like that's what everybody in the locker room is doing.
If things weren't already tense, lineup instability made it even worse. Clark was just returning from injury, trying to regain her rhythm. Meanwhile, Dariesha Dantas had rejoined the team after a stint with a national squad. The result? Chemistry issues all over the floor. Rotations were inconsistent, roles were unclear, and offensive rhythm became nearly impossible to find. The Fever looked lost. Missed shots stacked up night after night. Turnovers erased promising possessions. And the transition magic that defines Clark's game? Completely gone. As Clark candidly put it, I think we've struggled in the fact that we're able to play one good game, and then we play a bad game, then we play a good game, then we play a bad game. Her own shooting slump became another growing concern. She didn't hide from it, but she didn't waver either. I'm never going to stop shooting, she said, even likening her cold stretch to the kind Steph Curry sometimes endures. Eventually, the Fever snapped their skid with a hard-fought win over Atlanta. But it was a temporary fix. The tension between Clark and coach Stephanie White still simmered beneath the surface. The deeper issues, the clashing styles, the unresolved frustrations hadn't gone away. They'd only been postponed.
There is definitely something going on within the locker room, the front office. Something is off, man. This is the 3rd situation in one game we have had involving Caitlin Clark and the coaching staff and pretty much another player. And it looked like Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White definitely had a situation where they was in a heated exchange right before halftime.
The showdown with Dallas wasn't just another game. It was a defining moment. Would Coach Stephanie White finally embrace Clark's fast-paced vision? Or would the ongoing philosophical divide continue to cap the Fever's potential? With Paige Bueckers on the opposing sideline, the stakes couldn't have been higher. This was Clark's chance to prove that her style, her way, could thrive in the pros. Then something unexpected happened. Stephanie White relented. For the first time, she handed Clark the keys, fully and unapologetically. Against Dallas, White made a bold decision. Let Clark control the tempo, run the offense, and dictate the rhythm of the game. This wasn't a minor tweak. It was a complete shift in strategy, a recognition that if the Fever were going to rise, it would be through Clark's explosive style of play.
You know, it can be frustrating when your shot isn't going in the way that you want it to, but then like I look at the box and it's like I'm really 4 shots away from having a really good game, a really good shooting game. So that's where you find your confidence, and I know those are shots that I can make, and I'm never going to stop shooting. So, I mean, until I break out of it, I'm just going to keep launching, and that's all I know, and I'm still confident in everything that I can do.
Early on, it wasn't obvious that the new strategy would pay off. Both teams spent the first quarter feeling each other out, trading baskets and testing matchups. The Fever looked solid, but not explosive. They were settling in, still searching for that next gear. Clark was orchestrating the offense, getting her teammates involved and controlling the tempo. But the fireworks hadn't started yet. Meanwhile, the Wings were holding their own, matching Indiana step for step. The game had a competitive energy, but the breakthrough moment was still waiting to happen.
Lee Rue the other night had a season-high 18 points. Here's Boston turning the corner. Dishing to Hull. Extra feed Clark. A deep 3. You bet! And he actually brought up stats from a shooting slump Steph Curry went through. She said that made her feel a lot better. That pass will as well. Right on the money to Mitchell.
Cunningham attacked the closeout.
Clark, the rejection of Quinterly. Clark, the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done. Touchdown, Fever.
Then came the explosive second quarter, the moment everything snapped into place. Clark flipped the switch. She pushed the pace with purpose, igniting fast breaks and launching those signature full-court dimes. The touchdown passes fans live for. Suddenly, the Fever were flying. They dropped 36 points in just 10 minutes, outscoring Dallas by a staggering 21 in the quarter. It wasn't just dominance, it was basketball poetry in motion. The tempo, the chemistry, the rhythm, it all flowed through Clark. And for the first time, the Fever looked completely unleashed.
Here's Clark being hawked by Isaiah James. Clark sidestepping 3 is good. Clark backing down Quinterly. 6 to shoot, baiting away and dropping it in. Beautiful. Here's Clark off the screen, through the lane, feeds Howard. Another assist for Clark. That's 13 as Howard is up to 18 points.
Clark's leadership lit a fire under her teammates, and they responded with one of their best performances of the season. Kelsey Mitchell caught absolute fire, dropping 20 points on 8 of 12 shooting and extending her double-digit scoring streak to 21 straight games. She was hitting from all over the floor, clearly feeding off Clark's energy and fast-paced play. Natasha Howard looked like a force of nature, running the floor like a gazelle and finishing with 18 points on an ultra-efficient 8 of 9 shooting. She was relentless, attacking the rim with purpose and looking nearly unstoppable in transition. And in the paint, Aaliyah Boston took control. Using her strength, size, and footwork, she dominated the interior, finishing nearly every opportunity Clark created. Their chemistry was on full display. Clark would collapse the defense with her speed, then deliver perfect passes to Boston for easy buckets. This wasn't just individual brilliance. It was a team finally clicking, powered by a star who made everyone better.
And he actually brought up stats from a shooting slump Steph Curry went through. She said that made her feel a lot better. That pass will as well. Right on the money to Mitchell. A tenacious start from Caitlin Clark. Here's Agumbawale off on a 3. Long rebound. Mitchell. You're not going to catch her. Kelsey Mitchell in for 2. They elevate each other because of how hard they compete. Nice look. Aaliyah Boston with a gorgeous dime to Kelsey Mitchell.
The Fever exploded for 64 points in the first half, a new franchise record, surpassing the previous mark of 63 set in 2016 against the New York Liberty. But this wasn't just a team milestone. It was the highest scoring half by any WNBA team in the 2025 season. And the beauty wasn't just in the numbers. It was in how they got there Indiana dished out 30 assists, tying another franchise record. 13 of those came from Caitlin Clark, who was orchestrating the offense with surgical precision. This game was proof of what happens when she's given full control, not just scoring, but elevating everyone around her. The ball movement was electric. Every pass had intention. Every possession felt like a threat. Off the bench, Sophie Cunningham provided the perfect spark, dropping 13 points and hitting a driving layup that pushed her over 1,500 career points. Her energy and scoring added yet another dimension that Dallas simply couldn't contain. This was a Fever playing their best basketball of the season, free, fast, and completely in sync.
Mitchell bounces. Boston, one more time. This time Mitchell delivering. And Boston up to 13 points. Indiana shooting 66%.
The second quarter explosion wasn't just thrilling. It was historic. The Fever's 36-point outburst tied for the third highest-scoring quarter in franchise history. Even more impressive, they shot a scorching 76.2% from the field during that stretch. Indiana unleashed a blistering 33-9 run over nearly 8 minutes, overwhelming Dallas with relentless pace and precision. The Wings had no answers. They looked gassed, disoriented, and completely outmatched, but Indiana's transition game was firing on all cylinders. Clark's vision for up-tempo, attacking basketball wasn't just working, it was dominating. This wasn't just a blowout, it was a statement that Clark's style can win, and win big, at the professional level. Coach Stephanie White had finally unleashed a monster, and the results weren't just effective, they were historic.
Rebound. Cunningham swiftly up the floor, finds Howard for two. Sophie Cunningham making a huge impact off the bench, and Dallas will take a timeout.
In this lineup, Natasha Howard is the quickest post player.
Caitlin Clark didn't just lead her team to victory, she made history in the process. While fans were watching the offensive fireworks, Clark was quietly assembling a stat line that had been achieved only once before in league history. She was everywhere, scoring when it mattered, facilitating flawlessly, and suddenly making her presence felt on defense. Clark finished with 14 points, showing she could score efficiently and in rhythm, without forcing anything. She racked up 13 assists, a masterclass in playmaking that showcased how she elevates everyone around her. And then, on the other end of the floor, something incredible started happening. Clark turned into a defensive menace. She was reading passing lanes like a seasoned veteran, anticipating the Wings' moves before they even happened. It was like watching a mind reader at work. Every deflection, every steal added up to something truly rare.
Good dub. 2 in a row. 2 more to All-Star. Let's go.
W. Oh, Fever does. You already know what's coming. Bow, bow, bow. On to the next. Hell yeah! Can you use that one? Let's go, baby. Give your girls either Christmas. W. Now we gotta go get another one.
Then came the moment that sealed her place in WNBA history. With her 5th steal of the night, Caitlin Clark completed a stat line of 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals, a combination so rare it had only been done once before. Now, Clark stands alone as the only player in WNBA history to record that exact stat line twice in her career. Not only did she dominate offensively, but her defensive presence changed the entire rhythm of the game. Her impact went far beyond the box score .1 standout moment. Clark swatted a shot in the lane, immediately sprinted the other way, and delivered a pinpoint fast break assist to Sophie Cunningham. It was the kind of play that showcased her elite court awareness and ability to create offense from defense. She wasn't just disrupting passing lanes. She was dismantling Dallas's offense with pure anticipation and instinct. Every possession felt like a trap when Clark was on the floor. Every pass came with risk. And by the end of the night, there was no doubt this was a historic performance from a generational player.
Inbounds. Clark backing down Quinterly. 6 to shoot, fading away and dropping it in. Beautiful mid-range fadeaway from Caitlin Clark.
Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings had no answer for Caitlin Clark's complete takeover. The most telling stat? Orique Onuahi, one of Dallas's top scoring threats, went 0-4-10 from the field, finishing with just 2 points. The combination of Clark's defensive pressure and the Fever's locked-in team defense rendered her a non-factor. It was a glaring symbol of Indiana's total dominance. Dallas tried to get physical with Clark, grabbing her off the ball, refusing to switch on screens, trying to wear her down. It backfired. Clark used her aggression against them, slicing through the defense, finding open teammates, and driving to the basket with purpose. Every attempt to slow her down only opened the door for her to exploit them. The final score, 102-83, said it all. This wasn't just a win. It was a statement. Clark silenced every critic, answered every doubt about her WNBA readiness, and delivered performance that cemented her place among the league's elite. This wasn't just about rising to the level of the pros. It was about redefining what's possible at the pro level. The rivalry with Paige Bueckers had entered a new chapter, and Caitlin Clark wrote the first page in dominant fashion.
Cunningham attacked the closeout.
Clark, the rejection of Quinterly. Clark, the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done. Touchdown fever.
Sophie Cunningham runs the route and puts her hand up in the air, gives Caitlin Clark the target. Barely over the fingertips of Hines Allen. Beautiful, beautiful pass. Catch, in stride, finish. Beautiful basketball.
Caitlin Clark has arrived, firmly cemented among the WNBA's elite, and she's made history only she can claim. This dominant blowout over Bueckers and the Wings wasn't just personal. It was a glimpse into what the Indiana Fever can become when Clark is fully unleashed. Franchise records shattered, individual milestones achieved. But most importantly, for the first time all season, the team chemistry clicked, all because Coach White finally trusted Clark's vision. With the second half of the 2025 season ahead, and the storied rivalry between Clark and Bueckers entering a brand new chapter at the pro level, basketball fans have every reason to be excited. Next up, road challenges against Connecticut and New York. But if this version of the Fever shows up, the league better be ready. If you're hyped about what Clark and the Fever are building, drop a CC record breaker in the comments, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a moment. Click the video on screen, and we'll see you in the next one.